Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another episode of On the Couch with Creatives, the podcast for creative professionals everywhere. I'm Melanie.
And I'm Julie.
And here we are talking to the lovely Sarah Rodie, and Julie's going to introduce her in just a moment. But just to remind you, Creatives on the Couch, we're part of the Creatives group, which is a private networking group for creative professionals everywhere. We provide a safe space to learn, grow and develop your creative business. And if you want to find out more, we'll put some notes in the show notes afterwards. But Julie, I'm so excited for today's show. Who have we got on the couch with us today?
Well, joining us on the couch today is Sarah Rodie, who's been a magazine journalist for 20 years. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Good, it's lovely to have you. And you've achieved a lifelong dream to write romances for Mills and Boons. So tell us, this is rather a recent occurrence, so tell us the whole story. How did you break into that very exclusive club?
Well, I've wanted to write for Mills and Boon since I was a teenager, since I picked up some of their books at my nan's house and I used to devour them in one sitting. And it's just been a dream ever since I was at university, and then throughout my career as a journalist, I've been submitting to them perhaps every year for the past 20 years, trying different genres, but the last 2 years I've been trying with a historical, and I finally had success in lockdown last year. And I got the call in springtime and they offered me first a 2-book deal and then another 2-book deal afterwards.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you.
And because I'm intrigued, because I mean, I have heard this story before, but 20 years of applying for Mills and Boon, and I mean, obviously Mills and Boon is such a giant in that genre, and you kept going. Most people might have given up after one rejection, let alone 5 or 6 or 7, but you know, every year you reapplied and you carried on. What, I mean, apart from your, must have been a real burning desire to write a Mills and Boon, what kept you going after you had those knockbacks?
I think the thing about Mills and Boon is they're really good at giving feedback. So when you submit, you always get a response. And I felt every time I submitted a manuscript, I'd always get feedback that gave me the courage to try again. And they were always so positive. And every year I felt I got a step closer and I was honing my craft. So finally cracked it.
We're delighted, but as I say, I think that's really nice to hear, isn't it, Julie? Because I mean, you've been in the journalism world as well, Julian.
Well, every
feedback is quite rare.
Has got a novel in them, and every journalist says, "Oh, one day I'll write my book." And I tried to write a Mills and Boon once, and I wrote about 8 chapters, and then my husband at the time changed computers, and the whole lot went. And I thought, "Oh, I can't start that again." So you give me hope. Maybe I should start writing it again.
I think you should. Never give up.
Well, your book, the first book that we're going to talk about, The Viking's Stolen Princess, you know, it's set in Viking times. Why Vikings? Yes, do show up the picture. Why Vikings?
I've always loved history. I studied history at A-level and I love visiting historical places. And I think doing a historical gave me a great setting, whereas I'd been trying along the modern lines and perhaps a medical before. It just gave me a great setting to set a romance story in. And as I started writing this book, I felt I just really connected with the characters. I fell in love with my hero and perhaps put a bit of myself into the heroine. And yeah, I just felt it was working for the first time. I suppose I felt, yes, I've got this. And I think the setting, I love Viking times. Who doesn't love a big burly Viking? That definitely helped me.
So give us a quick rundown on the story. How does the hero meet the heroine?
So Brand is my hero. He's a bit of a barbarian and one of the Vikings who's settled in England in the 9th century, and he steals away a Saxon princess, Lady Anne, for revenge, but it turns out it's her heart, not the gold, that he wants in the end.
Oh, so romantic. And it's set in that time. Would you say, I mean, Mills and Boon has a certain way with them. Is it a bit of a bodice ripper?
Yes, it is. One of my editors described it as high sensuality, hot level of writing. And I must say I enjoyed writing those bits. Just have to write thinking that your mum's never going to read it.
Mills and Boon became very sexual. In the last 20 years, they've become incredibly sexual. They're almost pornographic now.
They do have various lines, so some are deemed more spicy than others. The historical, you can get different levels of heat, and I like mine to be quite hot.
He's a red hot chili pepper, so everyone's watching this is like, oh, we're going to go and buy that book now. It sounds really good. Definitely want to take on holiday.
So your 4-book deal, Sarah, are there other books? Are you setting them all in the Viking era? Are there a series, or are they standalones? What are the other books about?
They're all set in the 9th century. They're all Viking Saxon settings. They're all standalone books, but books 1 and 2 do overlap with the characters. So once you've read the first one, you'll know them in the second one. The 3rd book is totally new people, and book number 4, which I'm about to start, is again a new people entirely. And this week I've just heard they've offered me another 4-book deal, so I'm very excited.
Wow.
Oh, you're on fire, lady.
I'm really pleased.
Brilliant. You heard it here first, folks. Another 4-book
That's
deal.
true.
Rocking. Oh, that's awesome news. And are they all going to be as racy? Are they all as racy as each other, or do they tone it down a bit?
No, they're all as racy.
I love it.
This is the Viking version of like Bridgerton. You could actually sell the film rights.
Oh,
yes.
There you go. All you movie producers out there, there's a whole new line here.
Here we are.
Yeah. Probably Perry Media could do that. That would be awesome.
Set in past eras aren't very historically accurate. Even I mentioned Bridgerton just now. The costumes were absolutely gorgeous and the settings were absolutely lovely, but the characters themselves are modern people, really, because it's set in the Regency, and in the Regency people would not have spoken like that. They would not have behaved like that. Okay, you've set yours in the Viking era where they probably would have behaved like barbarians. But how much historical accuracy do you put into your books?
I think as an author, you want your book to be accurate. So I do check everything as I'm going along. Obviously, the internet comes in useful. And all my children's horrible history books have been invaluable. I love reading those. And I've got some BBC books, and I've visited Sutton Hoo, the burial site, and been to Viking Bay and been to the Jorvik Viking Centre. And I've just come back from a trip to Lindisfarne, where the Vikings first invaded England. Loved going there and seeing all the history. So yeah, a lot of history and research goes into it, but the core story is about the romance and the 2 characters coming together and finding their happy ever after.
But there's a lot of description in books. So your heroine is standing there in a Saxon dress. Do you describe the dagger at her hip and all that?
You do, but it's sort of imagine a painting. You're sort of putting those brush strokes in around the sides, but it's more about the emotion. So yes, you want those facts and anything you bring in to be correct about their dress and the weapons and the locations, but it's more about the emotion and how they're feeling.
Yeah, because it must be quite. I mean, it must be hard writing a historical novel, because none of us who are alive now really know what it was like. We can take bits of not architecture, archaeological stuff, and weave it through. But I think that's the beauty of stories, though, isn't it? You can weave the magic around, and as long as you've got that really strong, the really strong characters, you can that's what's important. That's what reels you in, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. It's their journey. You want to go on it with them.
Yeah. God, what did your husband say about all this raciness there, Sarah?
He hasn't read them. He won't read them. I think he's a bit embarrassed. No, he's proud, but no, I don't think he wants to read them. Even though I've told him that they're bits based on him.
So have you based all your characters on family and friends?
No. I've perhaps taken some personality traits from people and things that have happened in real life, but no, they're all in my imagination.
That's good. Yeah. Any reference to persons that either living or dead is purely coincidental. Isn't that what we have to say in our movies and in our books, just in case? But I mean, as an author, you know, you must have people that you've put, oh yes, I'm going to put her in or him in, and it's going to be a right git.
Oh, you're giving me ideas here.
Oh,
so
I
where
love
do you
that.
start? Where, you know, when you started conjuring up your hero and your heroine, are these two characters, or at least your hero, is it somebody you dreamt about for many, many years?
I do think the more books I write, the heroes are quite similar in how they treat the heroine and their traits. They have to be strong and obviously attractive, usually tall, dark, handsome. My Vikings are usually covered in tattoos, and they have to be able to fight, but they're also compassionate and have that softer side that we all want to fall in love with.
Do they all look?
Vikings weren't brunettes; they were blondes and
They were.
Do they all? Do you find that as you're writing, so now you're on book 4 and you'll have another 4? Do you think your heroes they will all follow that kind of similar look? That you know they'll all be fairly similar in looks as well as
possibly. It's good, I think, to have a change and to give them different things to go on in a new book to give you more material. But they do all have deep down that
rugged
thing that we're all looking for. Yeah, rugged but kind.
And what about your female lead characters? Are they fairly strong women, or do they need to be rescued?
No, they don't need to be rescued. I like them to be strong to fit in with our modern day stereotype of women. We're all fine on our own, but if you meet the one, then that's a bonus. Yeah,
I think that as well. You know, everybody likes a bit of romance, don't they? Like a really sweep you off your feet kind of romance.
I think women that in that era must have been strong, because you know the Vikings kept on raiding and raping. If there's one thing that a woman will fight for and will kill for, it's for her children. So I would imagine that there were strong women during those days.
Yes.
Yeah.
In my second book, the heroine is a Viking shield maiden, so she's strong on the battlefield and she's really feisty, and the hero is a Saxon warrior, and he has to tame her slightly, which makes for an interesting change to the first one.
Yeah, but does she tame him in the end?
Perhaps they tame each other.
I like that because I mean, I guess women must have fought and things in because I don't know a lot about the Viking culture and history. But again, I think of Vikings, I do think of these big men with big helmets and muscles out here, just storming everywhere and pillaging.
Long shaggy beards.
They were very clean, the Vikings. They were known for their grooming and cleanliness.
Oh, were they? Well,
They were.
You just taught me something. I just always thought they were terribly barbarian.
That too.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
too, but also like to carry a comb with them and style their hair.
Oh, okay. There you
Look
go.
at that. So that's education on the couch, educational. Vikings were groomed, darling. They were.
Did they really plait their beards and their hair?
They did, yes, and they used to, a lot of the times why they had bleached hair was they used a lye soap, so they used to wash with that, and if they had dark hair it would then go blonde because they thought that was more attractive.
Wow, so you certainly have done your research.
It's amazing. I didn't know that. So yeah, so Vikings weren't necessarily blonde because they were blonde. They were blonde because they'd bleached their hair because of their being clean. Wow. Oh,
And do you see yourself leaving the Viking era behind and moving forward in time if you start churning out a lot of
not at the moment. I love that era, and I've got lots of ideas going forward, so I see myself staying with that for now.
She's having too much fun with her Vikings.
Yes.
So how many have you got under your belt? You have a 4-book deal. How many have you actually written?
So I've written 3. I've just submitted the 3rd, which has been accepted, and that's out this December for Christmas. And then I'm writing the 4th one now, and that's due in October.
And what are they called? Give us the names.
So the 3rd one's called One Night with Her Viking Warrior, and number 4 we haven't got a title for yet, still in the
and number 2, did you mention number? Because the first
number
one
2 is The Viking Stolen Princess is number 1, and number 2 is Escaping with a Saxon Enemy. And number 1's just been translated into Italian, so it's
Wow.
I can't read it because I don't read Italian, but it's very exciting. It's been translated.
Oh, fantastic. Well, we're gonna have you back on the show in a couple of years, Sarah, and it's going to be, she's been she's been translated into 300 languages, and she's a global success story. I can see it coming. Yeah. I think it's brilliant, and as you're local to me in Cookham, it's great, having you just down the road, and a real local success story. I think is absolutely marvelous, and also as you say, really getting to grips with it, because you were furloughed, weren't you? And it was kind of on that furlough period that you really kind of, I guess, had the space to really focus more on the writing.
Yes, because that was part of the problem. I'm working full-time as well, and I've got 2 daughters, so it's fitting the writing in around that. So the furlough gave me the chance to just get everything down, and now I'm still working full-time, but I'm writing the books around it.
Do you find that now you have been published, so you had your first concentrated effort in furlough, because they say, you've got the time, and I think it really does. Furlough for a lot of people, when they've changed, has really concentrated them in certain things. So once your book then got accepted, and then you write other, has the writing kind of come easier now you've been accepted?
I think so. It gives you that confidence and just belief in yourself that what you're writing isn't total drivel.
Oh, I'm sure it was never that, Sarah.
So yes, it definitely gave me that confidence boost.
But will this mean that you'll be giving up your full-time job and becoming a full-time writer?
Not at the moment. No plans at the moment. But we'll see.
You've got to sell more books, people. Sell more books. Going across the screen where you can buy the books. It's
quite lucrative being a Mills Boon writer, isn't it? I know quite a few people who write, and it's quite lucrative.
It can be. Yes, it depends how many you write a year, and I'm obviously juggling it with the family and work. But yes, it can be.
How quickly, Sarah, do you turn out books? Because I say you've written, you're on the 4th one now, and your first one kind of got accepted in lockdown, which was what, a year and a half, 2 years ago. So that's quite a lot of writing in a short space of time. How quickly do you have to turn the books around for Mills? Because I know some Mills Boon authors are really, really prolific, aren't they? And
they are.
So how is it a quick process for you, or? Each
writer's different and does a different amount of books, but I've settled on 2 a year, so I have sort of 5 months on each book, so 5 months to write a book.
And how's the editing process? I mean, you said that Mills Boon are very, very supportive. So once you submit that first draft, or however it works, that they can turn it around, I guess, and help you quite quickly.
Yes, so each book's 75,000 words, so you go away and write it, then you submit it on your deadline date, and then you hear back from your editor with any revisions or amends that are suggested, and you can go away and think about it for a few weeks and then send it back, the revised version.
And do you find that focuses you more, having a deadline, like a deadline?
Oh, yes, I need a deadline. Yes.
Yeah,
that helps.
It moves it along a bit, and I guess that's when you are just sort of bumbling along and you haven't had that acceptance. You can find lots of other things to do, or
To
oh, I've got to
do.
look after the children, or I've got to do this, and things
It's
get in
good
the
to have
way.
it's good to have a set amount of words to do a day, so that, or a week, so that you know you're on target. Otherwise you can get to a month before deadline day and think, oh, I've got 40,000 words to write.
Well, that fills me with a heap of GBs. If anyone said that to me, I'd die. People say, oh, you know, everyone's got a book in them. I think I don't really think I have, actually. I don't think I could sit down and somebody say, give me 10,000 words by the end of the week. I'll be like,
well, if your life depended on it, you know, I certainly work better under pressure. If I'm told I've got 3 weeks to do something, I'll wait until the last 2 days to actually do it. So I know.
This is the mind.
yeah, it's true, actually. When I've got a deadline, or I've got something that I'm up against, it does focus your mind. You're right. You know, and when I've got to do something, and you know, if there's a loose boundary, then I do tend to drift. But when I've got to do it, it's like, yeah, okay, I've got to focus on it now. So I think that's, you know, that's amazing. And I think you will go ahead and you'll quit your day job. Because I mean, I know, so that, I mean, when it comes to the end of 8 books, that's, you know, that's quite a lot. When do you see? So yeah, even 2 years. That's, I mean, that takes you up to quite a few years, doesn't it? The next couple, 2-3 years. So yeah, it'd be lovely to have you back on. You know,
I'd love to.
down the line and see how it's progressed and developed, because it's just such a lovely story that, you know, after so many years.
Yes.
But I do love the fact that they've been really supportive as well, because I mean, when we wrote a film in lockdown, didn't we? Sorry, you know, we talked about that at Media Hub as well. And we've been submitting to lots of film festivals, and we've now got 18 wreaths under our belt, which is fantastic. But only a very small handful of the festivals actually give you feedback, whether they've accepted you or not. And that
feedback's invaluable, isn't it, to have something to work on?
Yeah, it does, because you do want to know where you can improve and stuff. So it is quite frustrating, I would imagine, if you're an aspiring author or a filmmaker or any aspiring anything, that if you're applying to things that you want to do and you're just not getting anything back, it's like, how can you improve? How could you know what to do next if nobody's going to tell you? So I think that's really, really fantastic of Mills Boon to give that feedback, especially as they are so prestigious, as Julie was saying. You know, being a Mills Boon author is a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah. So what are your top 3 tips for aspiring Mills Boon writers, Sarah? And this is for, bear in mind, not just women. Mills Boon have a lot of men. Their writers are a lot of men. So for men and women, what are your top 3 tips?
One of the best things I did was to join the Romantic Novelist Association, because they have a new writers scheme, which you can every year submit a piece of work or a manuscript, and you'd get feedback on that. And so I did that every year as well. So another sort of editor looking at your work. And then go to as many writing retreats and classes that you can go to, because there I met people who gave me lots of tips about writing for Mills Boon, and you just feel part of a club, like you found your tribe. And also I would go to the conference that's on every summer that the Romantic Novelist Association run, and where you can pitch to an editor. So you can book a 10-minute slot and pitch your book and talk about it to an actual Mills Boon editor, and they'll tell you what they think. And again, it's more feedback, and I did that years running as well. And you feel like you get to know the editors as well, and that a slight foot in the door. So those 3 things.
Really good advice.
Actually writing a romantic novel, what kind of creative tips do you have?
Just write. I'd set yourself a target of how many words to write a week, and just go for it. And even if you don't think it's any good, just filling that blank page is a help, because it's scary looking at a blank page, but once you've got something down, you can go back and edit it, and that's so much better than starting from scratch. So just write, and then go over it and edit it afterwards, and you'll start to build on it.
Well, as you say, you took 20 years to get to this point. Do you feel it was 20 years wasted, or 20 years owning your craft so you could get to this stage? I
think it's about the journey. And obviously when I got that call, and it was amazing, but it's about the journey you go on and enjoying it. I've enjoyed every part of writing as I've gone, and that's what it's about, isn't it? The enjoyment of the writing. So obviously it's a dream come true to get that call in the contract, but enjoy writing. I think if you want to do it, just enjoy the process.
Yeah, and I think that's two things that you said in your tips are really, really good about going on the retreats, and especially fantastic things that you join that offer conferences and things like that you get to pitch, because I mean, Julie and I know, being in the media business, it's not just about, you know, writing the thing that you love, and again, write about what you love, and so you have a very real passion for the Viking era, which has helped you and kept that fire burning. But you need to know how to pitch it as well, because at the end of the day, you do, in this media,
you've got to market it, haven't you?
Yeah, you need to know how to market it. You need to know how to make that pitch and make people sit up and listen. So the more learning you can do around that, I think, is really important these days as well.
Yes, and I'm sure you found this with your filming as well, but it's marketing it before you've got that deal, and then afterwards it's all about promoting it, and so you need to know how to do social media and how to get the book out there. So
yeah. And growing a bit of a thick skin as well, because this is something Julie and I struggle with sometimes. It's like promoting ourselves and putting ourselves out there and saying we're great, we are. And because it, again, Julie is South African, but it's still icky when you have to go out there and say, look at us, we're great, come and do our thing, you know, with
what's that got to do with being South African?
well, you were born in South Africa, weren't you?
Yes, but what does one's nationality have to do with being able to sell yourself or not? I can't sell myself. I can sell everybody else. Sarah, I can sell your book. I'll be recommending your book to every book group that I'm on. But if it was my book, I would not be able to do that.
Yeah, but British are notorious. British people are notorious about not being able to do that. You know, we don't talk about money, and we don't talk about, you know, there's quite a lot of us, you know, in Victorian era, we don't do that. We don't talk about that.
British people that are very good at self-promotion.
Oh, there are, yeah. I'm not one. Yes. We'll have to get one on the show, Julie, and quiz them about, teach us how to do it properly.
We'll help Sarah, and we'll promote her as part of the creatives group. That's what we do. We support each other. We help each other. There we go.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we've probably got just the last few minutes left now, so we're going to play our little values jam game. And Julie knows I get quite excited about this part of the game, because these cards. She's laughing at me because she knows what I'm going to say. Oh, for God's sake, man!
The ripping part of her life is already over, so she gets excited about that.
Well, have you got yours yet? Your pack, but these cards, no. Yeah, I'm going to get on to Lisa, because these cards, they're to encourage conversations around values, and but they're so tactile, Sarah. They're like really smooth, and they just feel gorgeous. And I keep saying to you, every time it comes to this part of the show, I'm like, oh, I'm doing my cards.
She needs to write a Mills and Boon.
I could write a Mills and Boon about these cards. I tell you, yeah, exactly. I get quite excited. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to just shuffle these beautifully tactile cards, which everyone should get, because they're just awesome. Give it a bit of a shuffle, and then what I'll do is I will run my finger along the cards, and then when you just say stop, and we'll pull a card, and we'll talk about whatever is on my card. I'm trying desperately. I don't. It's so hot today that I'm trying to be, you know, proper and not throw them all over the floor. Right, okay, so just yell stop when you want me to stop.
Stop.
Okay, right, what have we got? Ooh. We have got commitment.
Bring it up to the camera. Let's have a look.
You see that?
Bring it right up to the camera. Okay, yeah.
Commitment. Do your Vikings suffer with commitment problems?
They may do at the start, not by the end.
Well, maybe it's just a commitment to what you really want. Oh, I should not be answering this question. I beg your pardon, Sarah. This is your question.
So we'll get excited at this stage of the game. We can't help it. So the first question around commitment is, what what does commitment mean? What does it look, feel and sound like to you? Which is really hard, I know, but
Commitment is being loyal to someone, always being there for them, looking out for them, dedicated.
yeah.
And in my books, that's what the hero and heroine always are to each other by the end.
They're very committed to it. I like that. When have you experienced commitment? And I think that's quite an obvious question, because commitment to the cause, I think.
Yeah, committed to my romance writing and committed to my family, my husband and my girls.
Oh, that's nice. And it's how do you feel? I've got another quick question. Is that when you, I mean, obviously how old are your girls now? They're
11 and 9.
Yeah, so when they grow up, you know, they're going to have this lovely legacy of their mum writing these books. So I think, I just think it's brilliant.
Have they read your book? Your children, have they read your book?
My eldest started to, but I didn't think she thought it was for her taste yet. They're a bit adult.
It's embarrassing at that stage, at that age.
Yes, maybe she'll read them one day when she's a bit older.
Oh my God, Mum, really? Don't read that. Oh, I love it. I love it. And I'll just have our last question. How do you think that, how could more commitment improve the world?
Oh, or sustainability, people being more committed to being sustainable.
Yeah.
That's where my mind went first. Yeah, everyone committed to doing their bit, being kind and working together.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a very nice thing to finish off, because I think you're absolutely right. I think, you know, if we did commit ourselves to those values, to be nicer, to be kinder, to be more welcoming, to take care of our world. And so all these things happened in lockdown. I mean, you wrote your book and we did our film, and there have been some lovely stories come out of lockdown, because we've just taken the time to step back and actually look at our commitments and maybe change a little bit about what we are committing ourselves to, for the good of our health and the good of the world. So
there were some positives. There definitely were. I know there was a lot of negative, you know, the negative side, a lot of negatives to the pandemic, but the lockdown forced a lot of people to sit and really think about their lives. And then also, like Sarah and like you and me, Melanie, we got creative purely because, you know, otherwise you just sat staring at the TV or staring at the wall, rather boring. So a lot of people did a lot of things in lockdown that have changed their lives. And you definitely had your life changed, Sarah.
I did. Very happy.
Yeah, you must be over the moon.
I am. I still pinch myself.
Well, we wish you every success in the romantic writing for the future, or in the future.
Thank you very much
for all your Viking heroes and heroines.
Yeah, and we will definitely have you back on the couch at a later date to talk about your next book deal, certainly.
I love that. Thank you.
And follow your journey, because it's absolutely wonderful. Well, there we have it, folks. We're at the end of another On the Couch. It's been delightful for you to join us, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.